Welcome to Your Wish Fulfilled, becoming your future self. The purpose of this podcast is to allow you to experience the feeling state that you've already attained everything you want, to live from success, to be in that state of success and freedom and fulfillment, so you can create the life you want, and so that you can create the future self, the reality of your future success now. Today we're diving into your future self and how to love and look after your future self. We often think that we're just here in the now. Sometimes people say the only thing that exists is the now, which in one sense is true, because we only experience the now. However, the future will become the now at a certain point. Today was at one point the future, but now here we are in the now, right? So the future is this thing that will turn into the now, and then it will become the past. And what we often do is we screw over our future self in the now. And then when we enter into the future and that becomes the now, we think, what the hell did I do that for? For example, let's say last night, right? I'll give a practical example. I went to bed early. I went to bed practicing these things, but I didn't drink enough water. I had too many pecan nuts. I have these dehydrated pecan nuts that are very tasty. I ate too many of them and I didn't drink enough water, so I was a bit dehydrated. The window wasn't open, and I have two covers on my bed and I didn't take one of them off, right? So bottom line is I was dehydrated and I was too hot and there wasn't enough fresh air. So I woke up with a headache, right? Now I didn't intend to screw myself over, give myself a headache. That definitely wasn't my intention. But because I didn't drink enough water and make sure that these different things were taken care of, I ended up with a headache. That's just one very simple practical example, but we do this again and again and again. Like, for example, do you have as much savings, as much money in your bank now as you could have done if you had invested and saved earlier? I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but when we look at this, if we started investing in the stock market when we were 20 years old, even like $100 a month, and invested, as time goes on, it ends up like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of dollars, right? Because of compound interest. So your future self could be extremely rich financially if your past self had decided to put that $100 into a high interest savings account or investment, rather than spending on some random thing. So there's many ways that we can harm our future self, which we've already done, and we already know that. Today we're talking about some ways we can look after our future self, because we might as well start taking care of our future self and realize we're the same being, where we are consciousness, the body's changing, and we're going to enter into this future. And what sort of future do we want? The whole point of manifestation is to create a better future, isn't it? A better present and future. So what can we do right now to create success for our future self? So when we get there, we look back and say, thank God, thank goodness, thank you. Thank you for doing that. I'm so grateful. The first thing I want to mention is to start really small and to notice the benefit immediately. And what does that mean? Things like retirement funds and investing in the stock market and all this stuff, right? It may have a beneficial effect on us right away, but a lot of the time, the things that have the most profound effect don't have any effect on us in the moment. We only feel the pain. Like if you start putting money aside for a retirement account and start investing in stocks and things, all you're going to notice initially is that you don't have as much money as you used to do, because now you've put it in these things and you can't spend it. So many times what we do in the present to look after our future self harms our present self on some level, which is why we don't normally do it. Right? If you say, I'm going to stop looking at my phone all the time and I'm going to do meditation, you're going to have some level of restlessness because the old habit kicks in. So we want to start with things that we can see the benefit easily and quickly, just to get in the swing of things. So here are some things that you can try, experience for yourself, just to give a flavor. The first thing is, if you drink tea or coffee, I drink lots of tea. I have a huge selection of different kinds of tea in my cupboard. I have a whole cupboard of fancy teas. So I did this spontaneously one day, is I filled up the kettle, the water heater, whatever you call it in America, before I went to bed, because I always have tea in the morning. So I woke up and I did my practices, and then I went to pick it up and fill it up with water and put it back and turn the button on. But it was already there. It was already filled up with the right amount for 1 cup of tea. So I pressed the button, and I noticed, thinking, thank you to my past self, that I didn't need to fill it up. Now, it's not a big deal. I mean, it takes about maybe 5 to 10 seconds to fill the water up. But I was looking after my future self, and I felt the benefit the next day. It was immediate, almost immediate benefit, right? And this isn't years and years and decades. This is straight away. So little things like that give you quick feedback on the benefit of looking after your future self. Another thing you can do is tidy up your space before you go to bed. Now, you might do this anyway, but some of us, like myself, tend to be a bit like a mad creator, right? So I create a lot of stuff, and I often have piles of books on the floor or on a table or something, pieces of paper, unfinished projects, and sometimes it has to be left out. But I've noticed that if I can just go around the house for a few minutes and just tidy everything up, put the books back on the bookshelf, make sure everything in the kitchen is looking really nice, and tidy up my office, and different little things. It could just be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Then when you wake up in the morning and you walk out of your bedroom, you go, look how nice and neat everything is. Everything's so tidy and taken care of. It's such a wonderful day, right? You're not greeted with some mess in the morning. Yeah. So you're looking after your future self. Your morning self is going to thank you for your evening self taking care of the stuff. And the third thing that you can do, this is a little bit more involved, and you might have already set this up, but if you haven't, it's a good time to do it, is to set up a new savings account, or maybe you already have one that you like. I recommend a high yield, high interest savings account. You can go online. There's one that I've heard about that I use personally. It's Capital One 360. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get paid for any of this stuff. But they have, it's a savings account set up quickly, and it has a good percentage on it at the moment. I'm not going to get into details. But, you want some sort of savings account that has proper, because a lot of these banks, by the way, they don't have decent interest rates, right? And of course they can change. But you want to choose something that has nice interest and set it up so that a certain amount of money goes to that savings account every month or every 2 weeks or however you get paid or whatever you want to set it up as. If you already do this and you have loads of money, good for you. A lot of people are not in that situation. You can, of course, refine this and put larger and larger amounts and invest in different things. That's more sophisticated. But just putting money automatically, setting it up so that it goes into a savings account for your future self is something that when you look back on it and you check your phone and you look at your accounts, you go, oh, look, my past self set this thing up. And now my future self has all this extra money. Isn't that great? So that's a gift to your future self. And the interesting thing is that once you start doing this, you start enjoying it in the present. So instead of filling up the tea kettle or cleaning up the house or setting up these investments, instead of it feeling like a stressful thing, which you might do initially a little bit, you start enjoying it. You think, this is great. How can I send more money every month? How can I tidy up the house even more? How can I, make sure everything's just right? How can I put the teacup and the tea that I want in the cup so that it's like literally ready to go? So these sort of things, we're loving our future self. These are some practical things. The reason I'm giving you practical things is because you can then see them and feel them and notice the actual physical change in your actual environment. More subtle things are things like doing more meditation practices, breathing, yoga, exercise of different kinds, so that you physically feel better in your body, eating differently. When I help my clients to sort out their health, or they want to change their diet, I say you have to get rid of all that tasty stuff that you love in your fridge. It's got to go. Give it to your neighbor, or chuck it out. Because if you want to eat better and you open up the fridge and there's all this tasty stuff that you can immediately eat, you're not going to bother making a juice. But if you want to do a juice cleanse and you open the fridge and there's nothing in there except juicing ingredients, then what are you going to do? You have to make a juice because you can't do anything else. So these are ways that we can manifest a better future, is just by doing these little things so you get in the spirit of it. And then you start experiencing the benefit. You think, oh wow, every morning I wake up and my tea's sitting right there and the house is really organized and there's money going in my bank account and my fridge is full of really good stuff. Thank you to my past self. Thank you. Because now I'm living in this future reality where I've manifested better health, better wealth, more tidy space, and all these things. If you're in a relationship, you can invest in your future self having a better relationship by sending love and blessings to your partner. There's a wonderful book, the Five Love Languages, or I think 4 love languages. I can't remember how many there are. I think there's 4 that I'm aware of anyway. Some people love gifts, some love words of affirmation, some love physical touch, and some love doing things, basically. So you want to find out which love language is your partner's love language. And by the way, this applies not just to romantic relationships, but to anyone, any relationship. Find out what the other person likes the most, and then demonstrate your love for them by doing things in their love language. So if someone really, really loves getting gifts, there's no point in doing things for them and telling them how great they are, because they're not going to take it seriously unless you give them a gift. It doesn't have to be a big gift, but that's what's going to touch their heart. If someone loves words of affirmation and you say to them, I really, really appreciate you. You're so important to me, and I love and I'm grateful for you. And thank you for doing this, and thank you for doing that. And you really, sincerely give them that appreciation that they really like. It touches their hearts, right? So if you do this multiple times a day, obviously you can't probably give gifts all day long. It might get over the top. And by the way, not everyone has only one love language. Most people have at least two, possibly three. But there's one main one that makes the biggest difference. So you find out what it is. You demonstrate your love, your care, your appreciation using their love language, not your love language, their love language. Then your future self will receive more love and appreciation from them down the road. Now, of course, we can't guarantee anyone's going to treat us in a particular way. We can't guarantee anything's going to necessarily have any effect that we want it to, because the world is a strange and wondrous place. But all these different things are setting our future self up for the maximum potential success. So this is the concept, this is the way of doing it. Start small. Think about what matters most to you personally, and then think of ways that you can love and look after your future self now. And by the way, we also need to love ourselves with the love language that we appreciate, right? So if you like to be having words of affirmation given to you by others, then talk to yourself in the way you'd like to be talked to. Tell yourself how much you love and appreciate yourself. Good job. Like I say to myself, good job, Michael, well done. For things that I do that are difficult. I'm like, yeah, that was great, well done. Because we're having a conversation with ourselves all the time in our mind. That's what thinking is, having a conversation with ourselves, isn't it, really? So give yourself those things. If you like gifts of love, then when you do something really good that you're happy with, give yourself a gift. A meaningful gift. So we can do those things for ourselves. So take a moment now to think about this. You know what you want in the future. Just imagine what sort of reality you'd like to be living in the future. And what can you do now to set your future self up for success? And start by thinking about the most simple things you can do, and you can add more complicated things later on. Could you buy better food for your future self when you go to the store? Could you rearrange things in your house so your future self is happier? Could you treat people in a way that you're going to reciprocate their blessings? Could you set up some sort of savings or investing on autopilot so that you end up wealthier? Could you cut back on unnecessary expenses that are a total waste of money that you don't even use? I recently found out that Amazon was charging me for Amazon Music and Amazon Prime and some other movie thing that I had no idea about. So, it all adds up. These like $30-$40 again and again, month by month. But it's just not a big deal when you think of it. It's not that much money, but there's so many random things that if your present self goes in there and gets rid of all those extra expenses, you end up wealthier and more conscious in your spending, which is very good for your future self. So just think of one thing or two things that you could do that would be loving towards your future self. And just do one of those things today or tomorrow, and then you can add to it and add to it, and you become a force of blessings and success for your future self with these little things that you do every day. Thank you for your wonderful presence. I'm very grateful for you for being here. And if you find this useful, this podcast, I really am grateful for your reviews on Apple or wherever you listen to it. And if you have any questions about anything, just let me know in your review, and I will endeavor to mention these things or talk about them in one of the future sessions. So if your future self would like me to talk about a specific topic in a podcast, then your present self can go to Apple, leave a review, tell me what it is, and then you will listen to an episode in the future based on what you're interested in or any questions that you have. Wouldn't that be fun? So have a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful week. Thank you for your beautiful presence. Wishing you every success. Many, many blessings. I'm Michael McIntosh, and this is Your Wish Fulfilled.